Guys, we're live. Thank you for joining the 4th and 26 Philly Sports Podcast. As always, we got Dirty Mike and Cobbs Creek Beef with us. How you holding up this week, Beef? Has this been like the longest 2 weeks of your life?
God, it's like waiting for finals exams at the end of the school year. It's unbelievable. But you know what? We're in the home stretch. You only got 2 more days, and you hit the weekend, and that's everyone's doing they're doing practicing. They're starting to go in and do the final media stuff. So I'm very we're all excited that we're getting to crunch time here. How are you feeling about it, buddy?
Well, I feel like I'm a little superstitious with this team this year. I feel like I've had to wear the same jersey. I'm making my son wear the same jersey because the last 2 weeks away it goes. But I'm just trying to look for every edge possible to win this. This is going to hurt if we don't pull through for this one. I really feel like the whole city is just, I don't currently live in Philly, but I just feel like everybody is just so connected to this team. What's the atmosphere feeling like up there?
It's palpable to the same reason you just mentioned, because I think that whatever win or lose, you're going to see 2 things. I think you might see the start of a dynasty. Maybe not quite a dynasty, but the fledgling.
You got to start with one. You got to start with one.
But I don't know which team it will be. Will it be us or will it be the Chiefs? You know what I mean? And then second thing, it's the end of the season. Win or lose, it's no more football. We're done. We got the free agent. NFL's made its living by keeping the NFL season extended past and beyond the actual games, and they do great. Draft, free agency, mini camp, OTAs. You've seen it all. So, but still, it's a finality to it. It's closure, and it's coming.
Yeah, I'm just glad we have a chance. You can't win the Super Bowl without being in the game and having a shot. So I'm just blessed that we have a chance. Before we get started, going into Eagles, maybe we could talk a little bit of Sixers, heading into the All-Star break. I saw they dealt Matisse Thybulle today for probably like a washing machine and a dryer. I don't think we got too much for him, but he hasn't really been putting out too much.
No, he was kind of a bust. They were talking about him last night when the trade – I was actually listening when the trade came over. It's a shame because he had some potential, but it never materialized into anything. Matisse-realized it never happened. It just didn't happen. He just, it wasn't. He turned out to be, carbon copies of several other people that they could have just fit in with him. He didn't maximize his potential, and honestly, maybe it's going to be helpful going into the second half of this season because of the way we can't get past certain teams. The Celtics, even the Magic had presented us when we split the series last week. So maybe it'll be a good thing.
Yeah, he wasn't putting up much. I think he was only averaging a couple points a game. I feel like the first couple of years with him, he was an elite defender. He seemed like he really seemed like he was an elite defender who just needed to kind of develop an offensive game, but he never developed an offensive game at all.
Yeah, it wasn't a great shooter. It wasn't terrible, but I think defenses keyed in on him a lot.
Yeah.
He was able to be manipulated, and I think that running again. We had talked about this. I think maybe even one of the first or second podcasts about the process being successful.
Right.
We're almost in like the throes of it still. So maybe they're trying to keep it going. And if they can get to a conference title or at least a conference series, maybe they did the right thing.
Yeah, we need to get over the hump, and to me that hump is the Celtics. I saw Jaylen Brown broke his face. He's going to be out for a while, but I don't anticipate that going into the playoffs or anything like that. It just seems like we've been snake bitten the few of the last years with like Embiid getting injured. Like if I remember correctly, is that twice he's had to wear a face mask during the postseason?
Yeah, I remember he wore it one time a few years ago in the regular season, and then he definitely wore it when he got his zygomatic bone broken, or orbital bone, or whatever.
Yeah, he got the orbital
when
bone.
He was coming up for the rebound, and he got him or whatever it was.
And I think Markelle Fultz hurt him the first time.
Yeah.
But the big news in the NBA though, Kevin Durant has been traded to the Phoenix Suns. So you got Devin Booker, Kevin Durant, and Chris Paul together. I think it's going to be tough for anybody in the Eastern Conference to take out those guys.
It's funny because we haven't heard a lot from the Suns since their run. I want to say, what was it, 2 years ago when they played the Bucks or
that
whatever?
was 2 years ago, yeah.
Yeah. Other than that, you didn't hear much for them until right about now. And now, I mean, maybe in the West they're going to be, giving the Nuggets a little, giving them some competition. Portland's, they're out there too. Lakers, maybe they'll be a little bit tighter of a race
Maybe
in the West.
It just seems like there are a couple teams too that can't get over the hump. Like Portland and Denver. They're really good teams in the regular season, and even Memphis. Memphis is looking really, really good, but I don't see them as being a title contender. They're a very good team, but I don't see them as a legitimate shot at making it to the finals.
Yeah, but they'll get to the semis and then
Exactly. Playoffs are a different, the completely different animal when you can really game plan to shut somebody down, like especially someone who relies on just being able to do so much in John Morant. When teams have a 7-game series to really key in on him and figure out how to clog up the lane so he can't do that high flying stuff. He's not going to win the game from the perimeter.
Yeah, especially if you're at home, hosting those playoff games.
Yeah.
Very important, yeah.
Yeah. Golden State, they're a team that, isn't looking that great this year, but when the playoffs come, they're gonna be a force to be dealt with. They may not do great in the regular season, whatever reasons, injuries. I know Steph was hurt for a good amount of the year. But once the playoffs start and with the elite shooting that they have, it's hard to beat them 4 out of 7 games, and no matter who you are.
Hey, they're former champions, former back-to-back champions, and then of course you got the All-Star break coming up, so you get all your players back, and then you can make a deep run.
Yeah. I see them really. I see them really making a deep run. I think it's going to be Golden State and Phoenix in the Western Conference Finals.
Western Conference Finals.
Yeah, I can really see it being those two. And we can't not mention LeBron breaking the all-time scoring record. Love him or hate him, he's had the longest prime of any player that possibly of all time. Was Jordan better in his prime? I would say he was, but Jordan, it seemed like, had a much shorter window of prime than than LeBron did.
I'll throw another name to challenge you. How about Kareem?
Yeah, longevity.
I mean that's what I'm saying. I don't know. Would you have Kareem in his prime or LeBron in his prime? I honestly wouldn't. I might take Kareem still. I honestly, because LeBron still, it took him so many chances to finally win that ring. It was like 4-7, something like that, in finals games, like in final series. Like, that's not great. It's not. It's good. He was good in that, but he took different teams there, and I get all that. But Kareem is just an animal,
He was. I would take LeBron in his prime, and the reason being would be that he can do more. He did more for a team than Kareem necessarily did. Kareem was a great scorer, but Kareem wasn't getting 8-9 assists a game. 10 rebounds, 11 rebounds a game. So, his teammates. He was actually getting a shitload of rebounds, but.
Well, but his teammates, you got to remember, Kareem's teammates, I mean, there's only one ball. You got Magic, Tony, you got all these different players that you never, how are you going to get that ball to all those different, those were the players that we were having rivalries with. The Celtics of the early 80s was having rivalries with.
Yeah.
Those were tough teams, man.
They were complete teams, too,
Mm-hmm.
So he didn't have to be LeBron. I feel like LeBron on most of his teams has had to, shoulder the bulk of the workload. Obviously Kareem had. I'll have to look at some of the years of the overlapping players, but you figure he at least had Magic. He had James Worthy. A lot of those great players of the early 80s teams. And,
and they were dominant at that time. Like mostly, you didn't have players. It wasn't until later that the Jazz came up, the Rockets came up. to actually challenge them. So
Detroit, definitely Detroit was a huge roadblock, and that was more the late '80s. Detroit was
let's say like 1990, whatever that one finals was.
Detroit was the major roadblock for Jordan.
Right.
He wasn't going to get that championship until he dethroned them, and they beat the shit out of him. I don't know if you watched any of that Last Dance documentary of Jordan, that 10-part series they did on ESPN.
Yeah, I think it's actually on Netflix now. I'll catch. I watched it the first time, but it was only base bits of it. But I have Netflix. I'll check it out. Off deck.
It was so much rougher of a league back then too. I mean, my God. They used to
Larry Bird. I mean, you got a whole mess of people who were just bad boys.
That Detroit Bad Boys team, and it wasn't just them, but they were probably about the worst. I mean, they were comparable to the Broad Street Bullies Flyers teams of the '70s. I mean, they would just brutalize teams.
Yeah, same thing for the Celtics. Johnson, Parrish, all those guys, dude. Yeah. Celtics team was mean.
That's why you really can't compare eras. It's tough.
Different rules.
The rules I feel like everything is skewed towards, offense in the NBA nowadays. You can't hand check, now you got the take fouls, and I mean, just everything is just set up to, it makes it harder to be a defender, and the NFL is that way to a degree. And they were forced to become like that, after they got sued for all those billions of dollars from all the old players, from them not acting on concussions and acting in their best interest, You got all these players that are in their 60s now and just, practically brain dead. Like you see Jim McMahon, can barely talk, and these guys were getting concussions probably every week.
Yeah, absolutely. It wasn't just football or basketball. Same thing for hockey. Same thing for baseball. I mean, that's why they ended up changing the rule at the plate for the catchers. Yeah. You can't just plow through the catcher. Can't be Pete Rose killing the poor guy at an all-star game. You know what I mean? Broke his shoulder.
I feel like the NHL has changed the least, and that's why playoff hockey is still one of the best playoffs of any sport.
They're still fighting.
They are. I'm surprised that fighting hasn't been outlawed. Are you surprised they haven't outlawed fighting yet?
I don't know if I'm surprised, and I'll tell you why. Because even in hockey, there's 2 minutes for instigating. They realize that there's two sides to every story, and I think that as long as the refs stay on top of the type of fighting, first person to go down, draw the blood, they got the stick, just stay on top of the rules. I think it's okay. Obviously, hockey's starting to become a better product, so keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah, absolutely. But playoff hockey's great, and
so good.
We haven't gotten to see much of it in Philadelphia the last few years. The Flyers have definitely been, stinking it up lately, and we'll start to get into a little bit more of them once the Eagles are done. But I don't know how much there really is going to be reporting on them. To be honest with you.
Yeah, it's a shame they just lost to the Islanders 2-1 the other day. It was a good game, but I mean, Islanders, they're.
I just, NHL's a talent league. You have to have, top tier talent or a really, really, really good goaltender. And not that we don't, we don't have a good goaltender, but I don't think we have enough talent. You can't be facing 40 shots a night, and expect to, only give up one goal or maybe two. So, it's tough right now. It's definitely some lean years for the Flyers, but at their peak, I think I may enjoy watching playoff Flyers hockey more than just about any Philadelphia sport.
Nice. It's a fair statement. I mean, I would have to say, for series-wise, you're probably right, but of course, for one game,
just
one game, and then it's and it's here, Foods. We've made it. It took all this time. It took all that belly aching from the San Francisco fans last week, and
they're still belly aching. I saw Christian McCaffrey yesterday on a show running his mouth about how the game was taken away from them. No, the game was taken away by us. I mean,
Fair and square. I'm sorry. That's how football is played, especially old school football. Because if you want to look back at some of the old AFC or NFC Championship games, I mean, that's how How do you think that we won to get to Super Bowl 15?
Mm-hmm.
That was our Super Bowl in 1980. Wilbert Montgomery scoring that touchdown, that first 7 points. Because not many people remember. They actually tied the Cowboys tied the game back up. It was 7-7 from that point on, and that's when the Eagles hit the gas and scored those other 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, it's not like Brock Purdy just tripped over his offensive lineman, or kind of like what happened with Kyler Murray at the beginning of the year, where he was scrambling and he just tore his leg up on the turf. It didn't happen. I mean, we physically dominated them to the point where. They're down to Christian McCaffrey throwing the football. It was a joke. But this is it coming up. I want to ask you, I was having this conversation with Riley earlier, and he had an answer to kind of surprise me. Do you think, I'm trying to think of how to word this. I was asking him if this is going to be the most important moment of his young life. He's going to be 14 next week. So, yeah, he's going to be 14. Is that crazy, Foods?
God bless. That's 14. I can't believe it. I remember when he was 4.
Yeah. I mean, 14, that's when you and me met. I mean, Jesus. But I asked him, is this going to be the most important moment of your life? And he said, no, the first Super Bowl that they won is, always going to, be, more special than even if they win this one. And it kind of shocked me because he wasn't quite really into football like he is right now, like a real diehard Eagles fan like we are. And, he watched highlights and stuff, but he really didn't have like a, vested interest. He really hadn't lived in Philly since he had been born. So, I didn't know if he was really going to take as an Eagles fan. But he said, no, that's more important. What do you think?
Would be in terms of whether the first Super Bowl or the second Super Bowl is like
does it lose some of its luster that we've already now won one?
It's a good question. I don't think so, and I'll tell you why. Because when you look at how many teams in our division have won multiple Super Bowls,
right.
I think it's only fitting that in this division, especially the only division where all 4 of its teams have won at least one championship, we keep pace with the other 3. I know that's not the best answer, but I also think that the first Super Bowl there's nothing like it. It was the most insane event ever because
it was one of the greatest Super Bowls ever. It's one of the top 3 Super Bowls of all time.
Yeah, we defeated a team that had been a juggernaut for 2 decades. First decade, and then second, phase 2, the second decade, and then the same quarterback went to a different team.
Yeah.
So that makes that Super Bowl super valuable in the fact that it was played. We were able to defeat a quarterback who had defeated so many other teams
with our back.
Now I think for many years, even having defeated us. I think this Super Bowl is another way to exercise Philadelphia Demons as this will be because I love Andy Reid. Let me put that out there. But I think that there was always a stigma that he could never get over the hump here. And I think that we can exercise that demon by winning this game, showing that we can create our own team and defeat someone who was – we actually fired Andy Reid, and guess what? 2 days later, he fired Nick Sirianni.
Yeah. It's all
How funny is that each organization is staffed by a head coach who had been fired by the other? I don't think that's ever happened in Super Bowl history.
I've never seen anything like that either. And I've been hearing a lot of people talk on WIP especially about it. A lot of Andy Reid love this week. And, he wasn't that lovable of a coach, to be honest with you. Like, I never liked Andy Reid as much as I like Nick Sirianni in just 2 years. Or Doug Peterson, even, for that.
Even Doug. That's just about to say, even Doug Peterson, I respect Andy, but I think that he had his place, and I think the way we exercised Super Bowl 39 5 years ago is how we're going to exercise Andy's ghost for 14 seasons.
Yep.
Good or bad, this will be the closure. We'll get the sage. We'll get a seance. We'll have the crystal ball, and that's it. His spirit's gone. We'll Tangina him out of here.
Yeah, and just be gone with him for good.
Yeah, that's it. And respect, no problem.
Absolutely.
And then this is our time. Like I said, the Goonies. This is our time.
It is.
Our time down here. Up there, it's their time.
Let me ask you, if we only won one Super Bowl in our life, let's assume we never got back after we won the big one, would you trade, as great as that Super Bowl was, one of the greatest of all times, and just how it felt to win that game, would you trade that Super Bowl for, and only winning that one, for all the Cowboys Super Bowls?
Nope. Absolutely not.
I wouldn't either. I'd rather, if we only won one, I'd rather have one of the greatest of all time. And that's really what that Super Bowl was. I mean, it was just incredible.
Yeah, like you said, top three, I'd say top five, top three even. And also, we won it in the modern era. So
Right.
we can really live off this Super Bowl for 20 years if we wanted to. I'd rather have two or three. But, at least we know that we got it now. We always have that in our back pocket. I would absolutely keep this one.
Me too. All right, so let me ask you, are you one of those people who is rooting for this to be a close game and like a nail biter, or do you want to see a blowout?
Honestly, this is, again, I was thinking about this. Would I rather see Super Bowl 24 or 22? Or would I rather see Super Bowl 23? As in, would I want us to win by a blowout or win by 4-point margin? I think I'd rather see a blowout.
I want this game to be over by halftime.
I honestly do. Now, I don't mind. A win's a win, but I don't want to see something, some crazy Madden play. Like, I would love to, what I would love to see? I would love to see Lane Johnson catch a touchdown.
Oh, my
Tackle
God.
eligible. Could you imagine?
I couldn't, or Jason Kelce. I don't think a center's ever has a center.
I don't think. Yeah, I think it's only tackle, but he's already caught one or two so far. Why not three?
A center can't report eligible, right? As a receiver.
I don't know. No, I
only don't believe so.
Yeah, only if he.
I'm gonna look that up.
He can only possess the ball after it has been possessed by a skill player. So, like, if it was thrown to a wide out or wide receiver, he'd be able to, as long as past the line of scrimmage, I believe you can use him in a play, pitch to him, or some sort of like hook and ladder.
All right, so here's what it is. The center cannot declare as an eligible receiver while also being the player who snaps a ball. So that's the problem, him snapping the ball. Like, if somehow they brought a backup center in, and you had Kelce, you snuck him in somewhere else on the offensive line, you could report him eligible, but he can't be the one snapping the ball and catching it.
Well, that would tip the defense's hand then if they had two separate centers, and I wonder where he's going,
Or it could just be a decoy.
That's true, but I don't know if they could. I think that's illegal too. The fumble Ruski play where the center just puts it on the ground and rolls over.
Not like that. Like, imagine, like, what you were saying, Lane Johnson catching a touchdown. Imagine if somehow you could have both of them report as eligible. As soon as Kelce lined up there, you would automatically think it was going there, and then you do something.
Okay, I see what you mean.
We're getting crazy. We're getting crazy with this now, but...
Well, I'll tell you what, because Andy Reid likes to do some tricky stuff, too. So I hope that Nick has prepared them for everything, and I think he has. I mean, there's so much tape on Andy Reid, and there's nothing, how much can you really, learn after seeing someone? I think it's important for them to make him have poor clock management, play from behind, so he has to throw more frequently. And our line both of our lines need to hold up big time. I want to see 1990s, O line from the Cowboys out there. Not that obviously I don't want to see Nate Newton and Larry Allen, but I want to see their strength. I want to see their unity. I want to see their timing because that's how Emmitt Smith. Did you know that Emmitt Smith was the only Cowboy to ever get NFL MVP in the season ever? He's the only one. And you know why? Because he had that friggin' O-line. And if our O-line can do that like they did and make Sanders, make Gainwell, Scott, make them look like that, and I can get, I want to say maybe like 150 yards rushing and maybe 200 yards passing, there's no reason we shouldn't win this game. 220 passing?
No, I agree. I think something that's, Kelsey's going to get his yards. I think, Travis Kelce, I would consider it a success for our defense if he had a number line of maybe 7 catches, 75 yards, and 1 touchdown maybe in the red zone. If he were to have a game like that, I think, we're going to win it. I think a very important thing to remember with Andy Reid especially is he's a very screen-happy coach. He likes to throw a lot of screen passes, which is a way to combat a, superior defensive line. If we're getting a lot of pressure on him, he's going to just let us, expend our energy, get deep, and then just throw that screen pass. So I think really kind of staying in your lanes and recognizing that, right away is going to be a key. And good tackling from the linebackers.
I was just about to say, you need speedy, crisp linebacking work back there for screens, mostly. And then, of course, you need to spy Patrick Mahomes just like they're going to spy Jalen Hurts. Same idea. You're going to have somebody keep an eye on him.
Yeah, absolutely. And really I think a big thing also is, especially with our defensive ends, is not going too far in and breaking containment to where he has an easy route to get out towards the sidelines and scrambling, because that's when Patrick Mahomes is his most deadly, especially with Travis Kelce. That improv. They're two of the best, players in the league at improving, when the play breaks down. So, not getting, keeping him boxed in there as opposed to, collapsing in to where he can kind of find a lane and get outside and maybe scramble and get that bullshit 3rd and 4 run, So I thought that was a key with Daniel Jones too. When we played the Giants, I wasn't scared at all, but I thought the only thing I could do to kind of keep the ball away from us is, converting 3rd downs with his legs, because he is a strong mobile quarterback. So I think that's going to be a key, not letting him, convert those 3rd downs with his legs and getting off the field.
Yeah, pressure, huge pressure on Patrick Mahomes, just like you said with Daniel Jones. How the heck did they were able to contain Patrick Mahomes back in Super Bowl 54? Same idea, No, I'm sorry, 55. Super Bowl 55 when they played against Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay kept him on it, backed up on his toes. They were rushing him. They were hitting him. He was throwing little shitty passes, like you said, 3rd and 4th that weren't converting, and he didn't throw a touchdown. I don't think. I think it was all field goals for them.
Yeah.
So same idea. If we could do that, just like, obviously we'll have to put in our own little tweaks of, maybe kind of doing something with Brandon Graham, swapping, switching, ends. Like maybe that's a good idea.
Yeah.
So whatever. I know that he's going to be the key for our defense and our offense. If they can score like 27 or more, I think we can take this one.
Yeah.
I really do. 31, I'm thinking 31-20.
Well, I think that we're going to have an easier time moving the ball and scoring on their defense than they're going to have scoring on ours.
Fair statement.
So, it was tough yards against the 49ers. I'm not going to lie. A lot of people said Jalen Hurts didn't look good against the 49ers. There was a reason he didn't look good passing the ball, and that's because they're an elite defense. They were fast. They close in. He didn't have that, 3-step drop and be able to get rid of the ball, especially early in the game. You saw him, really having to hold the ball and, try to make some plays with his legs, and that's why we switched it up, I was glad to see that we didn't just try to stick with the pass the whole game, and we started running the ball and just wearing them down. I mean, by the time the third, fourth quarter comes, if you have 40 rushes already, you're just wearing that team down.
I think that contributed a lot to their mental mistakes, getting 10 penalty flags or whatever, 14, however many flags they got that day. Crazy amount, because we just played our game, and I think they started getting frustrated.
Yeah.
And I think we could do that to the Chiefs day as well.
I do too as well. I don't know if you saw reports or not, but there's an illness going through the Chiefs locker room right now.
I saw a couple things. I also saw who was out? One of the
Nicole Hardman's out.
Hardman. That's Nicole Hardman was out. Was that because of the sickness or because it was something else?
No, he's been out most of the year with a.
All right, he was injured, right? He was on the IR.
Yeah, he's out. They brought Clyde Edwards-Helaire back.
That's it. And then of course you got Scantling. You got a bunch of other guys. So I mean they got weapons. So.
Yeah, I mean, I'd much rather go against this team than when they had Tyreek Hill. I mean, let's be honest.
Yeah. Well, that's what happens when you start paying, players so much money. You got to start trimming the fat. And I think if we can win this specific game, and at that point we will have had Howie would have had the best bargain for the buck for his quarterback.
Yeah.
Because he would, you'd already have a Lombardi, and now you can obviously name his price, and we would have him locked up for 7, 8 years, easy.
Yeah, definitely.
So, that's what I'm saying, through 2030.
Let me ask you this, and obviously I don't want to talk negative, but if we're fans, we got to prepare for wins or losses. Nothing is a guarantee in football, and I feel like a lot of Philly fans right now are just a little short-sighted in that they're only thinking that there's a chance they're going to win. There is a chance that they could lose, but, I'm definitely more leaning towards that they're going to win this. But let me ask you from a contract standpoint. If they don't get it done and win, do you think that there's a chance that Howie may say, you know what? You didn't get it. I want to see if you can repeat this performance. Obviously, if Jalen Hurts wins, he's the MVP, or even if he just plays good, even if they just win the Super Bowl, they're going to sign him to an extension in the off season. But they do have him under contract for one more season. Do you think if he doesn't get the job done and win the big game, that there's a chance that they may say, you know what, we got you under contract for one more year. Let's see you, if you can repeat this year's performance again before we pay you.
It's one of the topics that is brought up on the radio talk shows here, and it's almost like because everyone wants to put their faith in Jalen, and I have what he's showing me this year is great. I think either way he should get paid. I really think what we saw was a complete turnaround. He should be with us for a while, I think. Now, his performance in this game certainly will determine. I mean, win, lose, come close. Like it will all be watched. You know how it is in the NFL.
Yeah.
Every bit of your performance is watched, and it's been like that since the 70s and the 80s. MVP. If you were able to get an MVP award, that raises your,
Absolutely.
all your contract negotiation leverage. So I think they have their quarterback. So I really think that they should do what they could do to try and lock him up now while he's at his cheapest.
Mm-hmm.
So win or lose, I think they should still just go for it.
I think so too. There's no reason to make him play, as a lame duck, and then maybe he's trying to overextend himself next year, and he gets hurt, and we have another Carson Wentz situation on our hands.
Because you got to look at our division as well. I think if we can get him locked up, we'll have the best team in the division, and as long as we can dominate our division, you'll always have a chance to go to the playoffs.
Absolutely, that's the number one goal: win the division.
Win the division. I don't care if you win it by 9-8 or 8-9. Just win the division and you're in.
Is this the greatest Eagles team of all time?
Whew. I mean, it's hard to argue with the numbers, isn't it? Sacks, the most number of sacks, most number of wins for the franchise. They're up there with, the 85 Bears, or the 84 Bears technically. They're up there with 2000 Ravens.
Yeah.
Elite. I mean, if they win the Super Bowl, they're going to be in the same discussion with number one defenses and number one offenses of all time. So how can they not be?
So if they win this, if they close this out one more game, and let's say it's in dominant fashion, let's say it's a 38-14 beatdown, are they considered one of the greatest teams of all time?
There's no reason why you couldn't say, God, remember, wow, the 85 Bears were amazing. God, those 2000 Ravens were amazing. Dude, do you remember the 22 Eagles? And obviously, we don't mean 1922. You know what I mean? I think, because of the dominance on both sides of the ball.
Because the two teams that you just mentioned were defense-heavy teams, and the defense carried them. But the Eagles are on both sides of the ball a top three team on both sides of the ball, which really doesn't happen very often.
Yeah, like one of the best examples I can think of is the late 80s dominance of San Francisco and Montana. Montana didn't even get an NFL season MVP before he already had Super Bowl MVPs. How crazy is that?
Yeah.
How does that happen?
How does Nick Foles win the Super Bowl MVP? You would never have thought that ever would have happened, but it does. I got a stat to throw out at you.
Let's hear it.
All right, so no team has ever won a Super Bowl and finished the postseason with no turnovers. The Eagles could be the first team ever to do that.
Wow. That's great. That would be, plus, like, what would they would be like plus like 10 or something, right?
Yeah.
Depending on how many they get in this game, if they do.
Yeah, I mean, some of the records that they're setting this year are just incredible, like the rushing records, their sack records. I think they need 5 sacks or the most sacks all time in a combined season. They already have the most rushing touchdowns in one season. Jalen Hurts has the most rushing touchdowns in one season by a quarterback. I mean, it goes on and on. It's on both sides of the ball. That's why I think we're going to win the game. We're a more complete team than the Chiefs.
Let me ask you a question. I was thinking about this stat.
Yeah.
If they win this game, Nick Sirianni's second-year coach.
Second year.
And then Doug Peterson, second-year coach.
Mm-hmm.
Had there ever been in the NFL where 2 second-year coaches have won for the same team?
Not that I've ever seen. I mean, it's rare enough for one to happen. I mean, how many coaches have won in the... I think some coach... Has a coach ever won in the first year?
I don't think so, but there's been a couple second-year coaches. I think Mike Tomlin was one. Super Bowl 40.
Let me see here.
Yeah. So, but then that makes that who is he going to be paired with? You know what I mean? Like who? Geez, who was the cool? Was that Chuck Stoll back in the '70s for the Steelers?
Chuck Noll, yeah.
Chuck Noll, that's it. Chuck Noll. Yeah. So, I mean, did he win his? No, he was like coach for like 7 years before they won theirs. Bill Walsh maybe. And then George Seifert for San Francisco, maybe. I mean, there's a couple places I'm thinking of, but I think this might be the only time that's happened.
Yeah, it looks like Mike Tomlin did win it in his second year.
So then the only other coach would be Chuck Noll, and I know for a fact he had been coaching for years before he won it, right?
Yeah, Doug Peterson. It looks like Gary Kubiak, too, but I don't think that was his second year altogether. And Gruden may have won it in his second year as well.
And that was for the Tampa Bay, right?
Yeah.
So then,
Yeah.
okay, so who?
Yeah. George Seifert won it in his rookie year.
So okay. So that was like '88, right?
Yeah, Don McCaffrey coached the Baltimore Colts to the victory in Super Bowl V in his rookie year.
Okay.
So yeah,
But you know what? George Seifert was also on Bill Walsh's staff too. That's like
yeah,
part of the
yeah.
tree. Yeah, so he had already won like 3 Super Bowls before that. But anyway, so that's my point. Like, look, I agree with you that there's a lot of cool records, like two brothers, two African American, quarterback. A lot of cool records for this Super Bowl, and I think that happens frequently when we're in it.
It does. We seem to have the most interesting Super Bowls. We really do. We give the most headlines, the most to talk about. I wouldn't mind if this Super Bowl ended up a stinker like when the Chiefs lost to the Bucks. I wouldn't mind being at one of those games. We had our, like we said, we had our all-time great Super Bowl already. I could stand a beat down this time. As long as the end result is a win. I don't know if my heart can take 3.5 hours, or with a Super Bowl halftime show 4 hours of waiting for finality. But I don't think it's going to be a beatdown right away. I think it's going to be one of those things where it's a close first half and we're going to pull away in the second half as they kind of tire out.
Okay, I got another question for you.
Yes.
Do you think Super Bowl MVP could be a defensive player this year? What are the odds of that? Let's talk about it.
All right, well, if Hassan Reddick has a game like what he had, last week, and he, has 2 sacks, 3 sacks, a forced fumble, a fumble recovery, if Jalen Hurts doesn't throw lights out, it's certainly possible.
And it's not like it hasn't happened before. I mean, you got Malcolm Smith for Seattle.
Yeah.
I mean, we can go all the way back to, Von Miller, obviously, for against Carolina, but we could go back to, we can go back to the 90s. Larry Brown, Super Bowl 30, when he caught O'Donnell's interception and ran it back, and all that. A couple of players from the 70s. Richard Dent, 85 Bears.
I think Desmond Howard might have maybe been a Super Bowl MVP too.
Yeah, he was a special teams MVP, yeah.
Yeah, I think so. But yeah, it's certainly possible. Hassan Reddick is a game wrecker. He can wreck the game. And I look for them to get pressure up the middle, and Patrick Mahomes starts to look to the side, and as long as we stay in our lanes and don't go too deep to try to go around the edge to get there, we're gonna have Hassan Reddick and Brandon Graham and everybody waiting to just swallow him up.
Yeah, just push him back into his lap.
Yep, push him back into his lap. If we can get pressure up the middle like that, and it's going to be a long game for him. I think it's going to be a long game for him anyway, and I think he's going to really look to get rid of the ball quick. He's going to take a page out of Brady's book and just look not to get hit. Quick 3 steps and quick slants. And we've had some issues this year with some of those plays though. We have had some issues with some quick slant plays. So that's why I was saying linebacking is going to be one of the we know our defensive line is going to be great. We know our secondary is going to be great. We know our offensive line is going to be great. Our linebackers have been great this year, but I think they're going to be a key to victory this year in not only stopping the screen pass, but also those quick slant plays. Not just looking to hit somebody. I hate when people don't wrap up, just and just look for a big hit, and then just players are too big and strong and they're just going to bounce off of it. Just wrap them up.
Yeah, that's a good point. It also goes with our DBs, because I want the DB. I want Slay. This is what we pay him for. You stick to the receivers like glue. Yeah. You need to be in their hip pocket, dude. I want balls. I don't want him not putting his hands up, not turning around. I want him to be professional. I need him to get that get the hands up. I need him to not bite on double moves.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, he's had a poor second half of the year for sure.
He needs to get some over-the-top safety help. Maddox, all those guys are great. They just need to bring it together and have the best game of their lives.
Yeah.
That's it.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
Finish this sentence. We will be Super Bowl champions if we.
Manage the clock with time of possession.
Okay.
I think if we control time of possession, I'm talking 75-25. There's no reason we shouldn't have this game. We shouldn't have a parade down Broad Street. We really should.
Yeah, absolutely.
It was either that I had the other alternate was no turnovers.
Right, that's mine.
Zero turnovers. Is that what you were going to say? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to step on you.
No, you're right. We'll win the game, I think, if we have no turnovers. We can't give them any extra chances. I think we're gonna see early on if we start the game and we're breaking off 6, 7, 8 yard chunks on the run on the very first drive of the game, second drive of the game, we're going to win the game. The game's going to be over. They won't be able to do anything.
Yeah.
Because that only gets worse. That only gets worse as the game goes on and they get tired.
Yeah, it's a statement steeped in logic. You're absolutely right. I think that having 5 former Super Bowl winners on our team, veterans, is going to help the nerves. I think it's going to help calm everyone down. You got even the kicker is a Super Bowl winner. You know what I mean? And I think if it comes down to a kicking contest, I really feel that it's a Butker, right? Harrison Butker is their kicker.
Yeah.
I think Elliott will be able to keep his composure. I think he'll be able to outkick him, but I would have concerns with our punting competition.
Who now is Sipos coming back for this game, or is Kern? Because I can't have Kern.
No, Sipos is coming back. The report is that he's healthy. He's going to play. But, I mean, if I see more than 2 punts, 3 punts, I'm going to start getting a little antsy. You know what I mean? If I see 3 punts or less, that's fine.
I'll tell you what, Kern's looked. He's looked like one of the chinks in the armor.
One of the only.
The only. Like he's
one of the only.
He's about the only position player, and because of a good punter can flip the field, and he's looked bad. He has just looked bad.
I mean, we could think of again handful of punters and kickers who have ruined Super Bowls. Obviously, Scott Norwood, yeah. Super Bowl 25. How about my man in Super Bowl 38, the kicker, the Carolina Panthers kicker that kicked it out of bounds and gave Tom Brady the field at the 40-yard line. Yeah. The 40, dude. Oh, wrong way. 40.
I felt like he's been a liability ever since we signed him, and Sipos couldn't get back quick enough. I thought he was going to be done for the season when he wasn't back, last week. But if he can be back this week, that's a huge advantage as well.
Yeah, as far as I know, he's playing.
I don't think Sipos is like an all-time great. I don't think he's a Pro Bowler, but he's certainly.
Yeah, he's not Sean Landeta. No, he's not.
No, he's an upgrade on Kern to where he's at least a serviceable option. He's not going to hurt you. In other words.
Agreed.
I've seen Kern kick too many balls off the side of his foot for especially on plays where it may be at the 50-yard line. And, you're expecting to pin them deep. He kicks it in the end zone. I've seen a couple of them where we were at the 50-yard line and he only kicks it 20 yards and they're getting it at the 30. It's like, come on, man.
Yeah, terrible. You can't have... We need the good directional... Obviously, you want a good leg. You want a boomer. But you also want someone who's good at directional kicking. Yeah. You don't want, someone like... what was it? Dodge, the kicker who kicked it to... what the heck was his name? Our boy Sean Jackson in the Miracle of the Meadowlands, when he kicks it direct. He said not the Conference says don't kick it to him. What does he do? Kicks it directly to him. Game over. Yeah, that's what I want to avoid.
The Bengals punter did the same thing. He kicked it to what's his name, Sky Jones, the guy, and he set up that obviously Patrick Mahomes getting hit out of bounds and at 15 yards would really put them in field goal range, but.
See? See?
If that would have just been a normal punt and they would have tackled him at the 20-yard line, even, they would have just ran the ball. Probably it would have went into overtime, and who knows what would have happened. But he cost them. He kicked a low line drive right to him.
Yeah, that's the only thing. Like, I'm like, I think it's a minor quibble, but it's, it could hinge certain things, and that's what I'm like, a little bit antsy about.
Yeah, special teams covering the punt is something that I worry about. I don't think we've been terrible with it, but we've given up some big returns in the kicking game this year. We have,
True.
And they have a really good returner. They really have a good kick returner who could flip the field and maybe get them going. So I definitely think it's important, like you said, not to just kick it straight to him. Make it to where he's got to run sideways for it, and he doesn't have that forward momentum where he's getting a running start going to the ball.
Right. Don't let him set up blockers.
Yeah.
Try to make sure that if it's maybe towards the end of the game, they have designated assignments so they can watch for trick plays, laterals. I mean, I'm sure they know what the hell they're doing, but you can't hold nothing back. I want to see the back of the playbook. You know what I'm saying?
That's what I was just going to ask you next. Do you think that they're going to empty the bag? Do you think you're going to see some trick plays?
I like I said, if we could get I don't want to see any against us. I don't want to fall for a fake punt.
Right.
But if something comes out, like we see a flea flicker here or there, from us, I got nothing against it. I have no problems with it.
All right, so we've covered a lot this time. For the last thing here, I want to look up some prop bets.
Okay.
And I want to see if any of these interest you. Let's see.
Purple Gatorade. No, my bad.
I actually saw something online that they were hiring positions that they're paying you $1,000 to watch for different things that happen during the game. Different prop bets. To actually, this one website, this one gambling site was like, what color the Gatorade is, for example, like you're saying,
Sure.
All right, here we go.
Yeah, like how long the national anthem, all that good stuff.
All right, let's see what kind of prop bets we're looking at right here. All right, so obviously you got heads, tails. All right, here's view all of them. I should have been more prepared for this.
Yeah, it's all good. I like some of the ones that they have about like what song is the halftime singer gonna come out with. Let's see, what was another funny one that I always what was another good one that always made me late? What celebrities are gonna that you'll see in the crowd, like in the box. Maybe they'll have Bradley Cooper, minus 200 or something, or they'll have like a rapper in there, something like that, Jay-Z or Beyonce or something, some crazy shit. Lil Uzi Vert.
All right, here's a prop bet. This one isn't crazy. Total touchdowns over under 6.
Jesus, what the fuck? Did they think this is Super Bowl 29 and Steve Young's playing? What the fuck's going on? 6. Wow, that's a lot. I'll take the under.
You'll take the under?
I think 4 or 5 sounds about right.
Color Gatorade, yellow, green, other.
Right.
I heard one on the radio today about Devontae Smith. It was like something crazy. It was like 200 yards by halftime. It was just like a ridiculous prop.
I'll take the under.
It was like 20, I think it was like 20,000 to 1 or something like that. Throw $1 on that.
Oh, I saw if pick 6 is the first one. That's a good odds. Is a first scoring play, a pick 6. Doesn't matter which team, just a pick 6.
Yeah, there's some good ones here. Let's see. All right, total yards of. I like this one here. I like the over on this one. because I think points are going to be a premium, and they're going to want to put points on the board. Total yards of longest field goal over 46.5.
Ooh, I'll take the over on
I
that.
like the over on that too.
Yeah, that seems like it should be higher. I'm shocked.
That's what I'm saying. I would have put that at 50.
Yeah, wow. Especially with like the leg that Elliott and you know what I mean, they got crazy legs.
Total successful field goals over 3.5. Run.
I think I'd take the over on that as well.
Over under punts, 6.5 punts.
I think I'd take the under on
I
that.
think I take the under too.
Yeah, because if you're taking a good amount of field goals, then you probably going to get fewer punts.
Right, right. Jersey number of the first touchdown score over or under 11.5.
That's a good one.
Yeah, that is a good one.
Maybe I'd take over.
Yeah, I'd maybe take the over too on that.
Well, so Hurts is number 1 and Mahomes is 13?
Yes.
Is that right? So I'm pretty sure that's like the average, you know.
Yeah, it is. You're right. Okay, here's some obscure ones. Here we go. Let's see here. I hate they make you scroll all the way down to the bottom. All right. Anyway, I do love prop bets. Are you going to have any action on the game?
The only thing I was thinking about taking was actually throwing some money down on Hassan Reddick. I really think, dude, honestly, if it's a close game and a lower scoring game, you see something like maybe you saw for Super Bowl 50 where it was like 24-10 Broncos.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no reason why you can't have a defensive. I mean, it's happened, like I said, several times in the past. I can really see it happening again. And at like plus 3,000, that's great.
Is that what it is? Plus 3,000?
Something like that. It's definitely over 2,500. So if you throw, $100 down, you're cleaning up.
Yeah, you're making $20,000.
Yeah, you just made yourself. You just got a mortgage payment for your house for the month.
Even if you just throw 20 on it.
Whatever. Yeah, it doesn't shit.
$5,000-$6,000. I mean, what?
Mm-hmm.
That's
and then I like when people bet on maybe like a safety being scored first.
Yeah.
They always make you laugh.
Yeah, that's way up there for sure. I bet. All right, so we'll wrap it up. Final predictions and scores. I'm gonna write these. I'm gonna write this down right here. Give me your prediction.
Okay, I was thinking about this. I think it's going to be 31-20.
31-20. All right. I also am going. I assume birds.
Correct. Birds 31-20.
All right. I'm gonna go a little bit higher than that. I think the birds are going to pull it out 35-24. So we both have them at 11 points, double-digit win. Have the parade next week.
I want to say that I'm happy because I am, but I don't think I can process anything until the game's over.
I know.
I think I need to just wait. Just go about your mundane banality of your daily business, and it's fine. But come Sunday, foods like. All right, let me ask you one more final question.
Yeah.
Obviously, you watch it with your family. Lisa's. Will there be anybody else there with you, or
No.
you want to watch it by yourself?
No. I mean, I got a couple friends I could invite over, but they're not Eagles fans. I don't want to watch a game with someone who's not an Eagles fan.
Well, okay, let's say if obviously you want to be with friends, but would you want to go to like a big party, and hang out with a hodgepodge, like kids to older seniors? I don't think it's a bad thing.
It isn't a bad
if it
thing,
was
but no.
if there were two other teams, but
Right.
since it's us, I think I need to completely focus on the game.
Yeah, exactly. I want to be holed up. I want to be in my routine. I've been having a food routine that I've been doing this year. Having food ready and just that's what I want to do. I want to just stay in my routine, just stay in the zone. if it wasn't our team, then yes, I would want to maybe go out and watch it. But being that it's our team, I just want the tight knit. Watching all the games all year with me, Lisa, and Riley, and it ain't gonna change this game. What about you? Where are you watching the game?
Probably be the same thing. Maybe with my brother, he'll just with the kook, he'll be having it on over the big screen over there. And you know what our audience wants to know? We ask the hard hitting questions. What's your food routine, Foods? What's your snack?
Okay, so I bought some wings. I bought 5 pounds of wings for the game. Riley just got braces on not that long ago, so he's a little more limited in like some of the chips and stuff that he can eat and pretzels and stuff like that. So we got some boneless wings, yeah, we got boneless. I bought all this today. I got boneless wings. I got regular wings, and then we'll do some probably some chips and dip, and we're making loaded fries too.
Guys, I was gonna say some sort of nachos, some sort of
Do you remember
fries are good?
Do you remember Falone's up on Chester Pike? They used to have the beer. It was right near St. George's. It was on Chester Pike, right near Ashland Avenue. Falone's.
Yeah. Not far from the bridge, right?
Yeah. They had these things called. They burned down, but they had these things called house fries, where it was like steak fries with all different cheese on it, bacon, and ranch dressing, all baked in the oven. And I've been recreating that and doing that. So we're gonna have some house fries, we're gonna have boneless wings, and we're gonna have barbecue wings as well, and some soda. And I got tore up a couple weeks. I can't drink much anymore. I don't know about you, but I put it in probably about 2 weeks ago. I had 3 sour monkeys, and they're like 9.7%, and I was okay. I was drunk. I went out to downtown Greenville, and I was pretty drunk, and then I went to this really expensive steakhouse, to go see a band like right afterwards. And I said I'm gonna have one more drink the rest of the night because I got to drive home. And I made the mistake of getting a Long Island iced tea as that drink. And with me that Long Islands can get kind of dicey. And it just put me over the top. And I had an epic hangover. And I haven't even been able to think of alcohol for the last 2 weeks. I mean, it was that bad. I'm like, I can't do it, man.
Yeah, I'll probably have a few beers, but nothing crazy. My brother does got a kegerator over at his crib now, so it's nice. We can just chill, throw maybe a nice little thing of Stella in there, and just that's all.
Yeah, man, it's gonna be great. Now, if you would have asked me when you and me were roommates and stuff years ago, we probably would have had some 40s of St. Ides and some Old English 800.
OE 800.
Oh God. I remember one party we had at the house, and it might have been a Christmas party or something at the old house in Upper Darby. Does your aunt still have that house?
Nah, that's gone.
Thank God.
Yeah, it's gone.
I was trying to tell Lisa about that the other day. I was just like, man, we used to have to walk by gangs of people just to get to Lee's house.
Yeah, it's still like that too, Foods. And let me tell you, I'm glad we're out of there. Glad we're over here, and I'm just so friggin' happy that we're able to just enjoy a nice, Super Bowl 57, where I think this is going to be the start of something beautiful, man.
It is. If this could be the start of the dynasty right here, because I don't think we're ever especially since we're going to have to. We only had maybe $4 million committed to a quarterback position this year between Jalen Hurts and backup and Gardner Minshew. I think next year I've heard some people saying that there's a good chance that we're going to have almost $50 million tied up with that. Like you said, you got to trim the fat. I think that this is going to now we still are going to have many chances to win the Super Bowl over the next 5 to 7 years with Jalen Hurts. Just being so young and like we said, this is the beginning of our window opening up. But I don't think we'll ever have a more talented Eagles team, top to bottom, than we will right now this year.
Yep, truth. I think we got to seize the opportunity. Carpe diem, Foods.
Carpe diem. We will seize the day, and we will seize the Lombardi Trophy and grease the poles, man, because they're going to be climbed.
Damn right. Now, maybe if depends on what they were doing, maybe we'll see the fans on Sunday. Maybe we'll do a quick one afterwards. Just let it, give me a holler. Let me know what you want to do. If you want to jump on and talk about it.
You know what I may do? Since we don't have enough subs yet to live stream, I may do a live stream on my crypto channel. We could do it on that. That way we could actually do a live stream on that. And just share that video. So, I mean, it doesn't matter which channel it's on, But, yeah, man, it sounds good. Thank you for anybody who's watching this. This is obviously our last, one before the Super Bowl. But, we're not going anywhere after the Super Bowl. We're still going to get together every week for this. And, hopefully start doing some live ones, live streaming after games. And going from there. Beef.
That's right.
I can't wait. We got a little under 70 hours to go. I've been counting down pretty much all week about this time of night, and let's go Birds, and let's get another Super Bowl. You want to end it with an Eagles chant here?
I think we should. Let's do it properly. This is how you do it. So for all the folks out there, make sure you listen up. The first E is loud, but it's slow. Right, here we go. E. A-G-L-E-S, Eagles! Thank you.
I wish I could have joined you. I got 3 little kids right underneath me asleep in the apartment.
No problem.
I know, but we'll get an E-A-G-L-E-S Eagles chant. Let's do this. Are you going to be wearing that jersey?
I only think it's fitting, Foods. I only broke it out once or twice, and they won all the time, so...
Yeah.
I think I'll keep it.
I wore my Michael Vick jersey all year, and I felt like I needed some extra mojo when the playoffs start, so I switched to my Shady McCoy jersey that I got Tiger Woods to sign. I switched over to that one, and yeah, man, we could go if we do this right. Not only can we win the Super Bowl, but we could be immortalized as one of the greatest teams of all time. So. I can't wait. I will talk to you, obviously, before then. And let's do it, man.
That's it. Let's bring it back to Broad Street, baby.
Awesome, guys. This was 4th and 26 Philly Sports. Thank you, guys, for tuning in. And we will see you after we hoist our second Lombardi Trophy on Sunday. Take care, man.
Good night.